Derek's gonna be first up over for the team too. We got ourselves Dinky in the back. We got Pawn alone. I like that Mog, by the way. It's like very, very Cataclysm. We got Antimadel back in the action. We got ourselves Mog MVP charging back out as a warrior. Gonna be Palace. Pylus? I don't even know how to say your name, but it's gonna be Derek's versus Pylus first. Pylus plays a very, very tanky build for his Fire Mage. Like an extremely tanky build. Derek's still getting himself a quick eviscerate in there as Pylus getting pretty close. Gonna be quick vantage by the Rogue. Shadow Step and Pylus trying to see if he can walk the Rogue into the freeze. Gonna be a big combustion onto the Rogue. Doesn't get the biggest damage out. Derek's does take a bit of hits. Fade really quickly. Has the cloak in case he needs to. And it's gonna be Pylus trying to see if he can catch back up to him. Nova doesn't quite catch Derek's. Did use that Panda Rachel to lock him down for a second. But this man is monstrous when it comes to damage, when it comes to survivability. Literally burning a trick under the sap, trying to see if he can catch the Rogue. I think he has enough damage to potentially lock the Rogue down. Gonna be a blink, but it's gonna be getting shot with it all the time immediately for Pilots. Trying to see if he can cover himself defensively. Derek's trying to see if he can break through it all the time. Definitely gonna try to see if he can force out the defensive out of Pilots pretty early on. Gonna be Derek's with a breath breaking. Trying to stay aggressive with Pilots. Just taking so many Shadow Strikes back to back. Pilots backing away for a second. No bunch of Rogue Ashes and Smoke Bomb. Ring of Frost around Pilots as he goes for a Fireball with a Rune of Power. Potentially can get him some big damage. Is gonna force out the Rogue to freeze himself in the ring. Pilot's trying to see if he can maximize the damage, going in from a Fireballs with Phoenix Flames, getting shot by Derek's, trying to stay aggressive with the stuns as soon as possible. He's potentially going to go back to cheap shots, exactly what he's going to do. Pilot's got him just a million shields though. A blind onto the Mage with an Ice Block to follow. Cheap shot by the Rogue. Cloak of Shadows are after. Pilots could be big trouble. Has no Ice Block. Cauterize the only thing keeping him alive. Trying to get him some shields. Derek's super low in health as well. Could be anyone's game at this point. Both are extremely low. Shadow Blades potentially out of Derek's. Does he get himself? Oh, Pilots does get him fairly low. And Bone alone trying to see if he might be able to catch up to Pilots and take him out. Going to be immediate poly. Does not have a trigger to break it. Pilots looks like he's going to back up out of that completely. Trying to see if he might be able to break combat and go for food. Pawn alone, if he can catch back up to him fairly quickly, he might be able to break the food. Exactly what's going to happen. Pilots trying to see if he can find himself some cover behind the pillar while he's running away. That soul shape. Love that soul shape, by the way. Hodge and Pilots could potentially be above a blink out of him. Going to be blinking into a wall with an all the time just to make sure he's extra covered. Pawn alone does get himself some wings rolling in, so it looks like real wings, but doesn't sit that polymer for too long. Got him some Flash Scout getting interrupted on it as Pilots just trying to see if he can get some Fire Blast, Pyroblast around the corner while channeling a full Fireball or try to cast up a Fireball. Just back up for the Mage. And Paul alone is getting slowed down by the images with his Frostbolts. Pilots got himself plenty of a good situation. Gonna be a little almost catching back up to him, but it's gonna be a blink as he goes in for a finisher. I don't even know if that actually did damage to the Mage, to be honest. Quick Mass Invis, or normal Invis. I'm so used to seeing arcade mages nowadays with Seamark, but normally I'm so used to watching Mass Invis happen. But a quick actual full Invis for Pilots, as it does catch Pawn alone in a quick poly. And just continue to get Fireballs, and I think just try to see if he can fish out for cooldown reduction on his combustion with his Fireballs. That or just trying to get himself some sustained damage versus the Paladin, little by little, chip it away at the guy. Blinking around the corner, aggressively going for that interrupt. The Spawn alone trying to recover, but that just could be, oh, big damage out of the combustion out of Pilots. I hate how your camera is all kinds of bugged, but it's going to mock the MVP. That quick interrupt locking out the Paladin on the ability to even bubble, and Pilots taking lots of damage from mock damage, sleeping back right over. It does catch a quick heal. I think that might have been an impending victory. Pilots are trying to use the soul shape in order to reposition completely away from mock dam, utilize as much mobility as possible just to stay alive. A mock dam is looking locked out in the bubble. Yeah, exactly, because I thought you were actually doing pretty good, Aura. But yeah, when you get locked out in the bubble, man, it's an unfortunate situation. It's super unfortunate. It's like 6 seconds too, so unless you got something going on, unless you got a setup, it's those 6 seconds, it could be pretty rough. Gonna be a big spear by Mog Dam. Couldn't quite catch Pally's in there. Polymorph should be out, and that's gonna be no more Reflect available for Mog Dam. Didn't have a Blaze Storm available that time. But it's gonna be Pally's just trying to see if he can completely immune any kind of burst out of Mog Dam. That was his full reckless abandon, but the warrior has been put on ice. So like this guy got himself like a really nice setup. Gonna be Fireballs versus Mock Dem. Big Combustion gonna be immediate Reflect, trying to see if he can blink right after. He has Ultra Shot pre-rolling. And Mock Dem trying to see if he might be able to turn this around. It's gonna be big enraged blows coming down as he's trying to get him some big crushing blows to Palace. Realize the Palace is gonna have all time. Has him ready. That's gonna be quick harpoon. Not harpoon, but a quick spear. But he's able to break it without a blink. And it's gonna be Palace going for a quick breath of the Mock Dem, freezing him away, and just gonna try to see if he can actually just forced the man to leave. He literally forced the guy to quit with that setup. Dinky is going to be up next, trying to get some doubts with his Pilus. As a survival hunter, do you hard counter mages, or does a mage win this situation? But Mogdam literally left it. He was like, you know what? That was my full spear. He blinked out on my big cooldown. He's absolutely just avoided all of my bursts. And he's like, you know what? It's not even worth it. Actually forced the guy to leave. I really hate when duels end like that, man. I mean, you can't really control when somebody leaves, but man, Pilus, dude, he's just actually just so far unstoppable. Polymorph on the Dinky. Pilus finds himself kind of lowish in health, but is that really going to be enough though? Because the mage can really recover a lot of it. Icebug back up, Cauterize back up, going to be a tar trap. Slow him down for a second as Dinky got himself Flame Shot back into Pilus, got himself big damage rolling in. Coordinate Assault, but that shit could have big damage output. That's going to be dots rolling onto Pilus. Got himself all the time in order to make sure he's extra healthy. Got himself repositional mobility. Shifted power. Should get interrupted. Actually freeze. So Dinky is still holding on to an actual full-blown interrupt in case he needs to. Feign death for that one. Interrupt on the freeze. Locking him out on Ice Block. But that shit could be bad for Pilus. Does get himself an Ice Block either way, dude. Get a lockdown on a Ring of Frost was actually kind of sketchy, but Dinky was able to land it. That was a nice quick interrupt there. I was surprised he was able to do it. Gonna be Pilus. Cut up all that health back up. Gonna be a full combustion. The pet is Polymer, so can't even go for a pet stack. So Dinky just has to take all the damage, has to go for a Turtle Shell in order to try to reduce as much pressure out of Pilus, especially during his cooldowns. Dinky kind of lowish on health. Pilus just got himself a few more combustion. Pyroblast still doing a bit of damage. Gonna be a quick interrupt on a freeze. Dinky had no health whatsoever. Need himself a little bit more health. Battle Master Trick in order to give himself better health output. Stone onto Pilus. Does have a blink for it. Ring of Frost is gonna be able to freeze the pet. All the time is up. The kill shots can still do a lot of damage though. All the time the kill shot does get refreshed. Big grenades around to Pilus. Get himself just a little bit of shields. Another blink in order to get himself some survivability. Freeze as Dinky does go down. His pet as well as him do erupt in a living bomb. And both of them do go down with Antobadan. Last one left. Over for the team 2. Forced to hold the fort. Looks like he's giving Pilus a little bit of opportunity to get himself a bit of a reset, a little bit of a setup. Pilus is going to be able to blink out of there. Eventually, Antobadan should be able to hold him down with a chain of ice, I imagine. And it's going to be the pet. Is the pet still rooted? No, looks like the pet got back in there. Going to be a grip out of Antobadan. Trying to see if he can maybe pull Pilus out in the open. Going to be Polymer, but he does cancel it out instead. He knows he's going to be pet interrupt. Stun onto Pilus potentially. Does all the time. Is going to be able to ult time back up. He has nothing really left. Cauterize, the only thing keeping him alive is going to be able to get away from the pets for a second. That shield is going to be reapplied. Walking back into the main pet. It's going to be Cauterize with the shifted power. Trying to see if he may be able to get him some shields. Blink in order to get himself a new shield. Refreshing shield yet again. That's going to be the pet still on him. Gripping back down. Combustion up for Pilus. Antobadan has the defensive in case he wants to use it. Doesn't feel like he needs to use AMS just yet. Just kind of actually just hitting damage into Pilus. Pilus with a blink. Does get himself a shield. Going to be AMS out for Antobadan. Immuning that root. Panda Rachel to stop him. For a second. Pilus needs himself a little bit more value here. Is going to go for Ring of Frost. If the pet does attack him right now, it could be pretty bad. Pilus still takes a lot of that Glowing Shadows damage. Got himself a shield in the last second. Trying to see if he can avoid the death as best as possible, but you can't really outrun the guy. Chain of Ice, that's going to be Antobadan gripping him on the Blink Breath, but he's going to get stung by the Swarm. And that's going to be the pet amplifying the damage that it does. Images are up, trying to keep Pilus a little bit more survivability here, but I think it's going to be over. Night Fae Seed Pot is going to end up taking him out, with Antobadan barely surviving that one. But the mana to find the mage at the 10-minute mark. Are you kidding me? Can it be Chain of Ice? This is where Antobadan needs himself as much of healing as possible. Potentially might have to go very defensive versus Reventy. Very, very defensive. Wings are up for Reventy immediately. And this way Anton trying to see if he can cut him out. Stunning him as he's going to go for a trinket into IBF immediately. Antobadan needs himself all the healing in the world. May have to go for a death pack really, really early here. Try to heal himself with a AMS as well as Ledgeborn. Using those death calls defensively. Try to keep the damage onto Reventy. Reventy still has a bubble in case he wants to use it. Unless Reventy finds himself low on health and he has to execute to proc him. Gonna be Antobadan. Now that he got some distance from Reventy, is gonna go for a death pack. Got himself a full flash scout. Could potentially force something out of Reventy. Gonna be better powered stun. Reventy is gonna bubble out. Just knows he needs to use it right then and there. Trying to see if he can reverse some of the damage back to Antobadan while he got the immunity. Anti-magic zone is gonna give him 50% damage reduction from Holy. You won't get it back in, but the stun doesn't gonna do anything. That's gonna be the pets joining in, just engulfing him and then just clawing him down, devouring the boy. And Antobadan does survive it. Barely hanging in, man. Narrowly hanging in there. Slash AFK is going to go in immediately with Shadowblaze not really going for a stealthy opener versus Anton. Anton with an AMS, seeing a big Shadow defensive cooldown or defensive cooldown on Slash. Going to be Shadow Step, Kyrian Burst. Anton is going to shrink out of it. Just trying to see if he can waddle away from Slash. Slash with a re-stealth Shadow Strike. Oh, not really given the DK an opportunity to recover. At that point, there's not really much you can do as a Death Knight, to be honest, though. But he did do pretty well. Yo, that Mage popped off, man. He lived for a while. The Death Knight was able to shut him down, and the Death Knight was able to continue to play into the Paladin, too. So at least he had himself somewhat of a situation there, yeah? Very well done, boys. Yo, let's get these boys up back in here, yeah?